It also was revealed that Bowen faced additional charges of lewd or lascivious battery.
What this particular case deals with is a manipulation by authorities of the timeline.
You obviously didn't have the courage to come back and say not guilty.
Possibly, allegedly, a consistency of character.
Today, our first stop is the Florida 4th Circuit courtroom, where William Randall was arrested because he sexually molested a girl. Randall served as the pastor at St. Simon Baptist Church for 3 decades. The victim, who was 12 years old in 2007, reported that the pastor had been molesting her since she started going to the church that year. She shared with investigators that the incidents occurred at the church after services in a church van at the pastor's house. And during the week, she came to work around the church property. Before the judge sentenced Randall, his victim testified at the hearing. She was 12 when the abuse began, and it continued until she was 18. She claimed that Randall stole her innocence.
Each knowing that you will never be able to do what you did to me to anyone else's child.
The victim experienced a stroke at 14 years old due to this horrific incident. Moreover, the church was destroyed in a fire, and investigators were trying to figure out the reason behind the blaze. Randall also ran for ex-Representative Corinne Brown's congressional seat, but was unsuccessful.
And I hope whatever the judge sentenced you today is compatible punishment to what you took me through over the years.
William Randall was sentenced to 20 years in prison after pleading guilty to 1 count of sexual battery. The most horrific part is that he showed no remorse for the crime that he committed as a pastor.
I'm a pastor, man of God. There's no reason why I should be standing before the judge in a court because of these kinds of accusations. It hurts me, and I apologize to everyone in the community. I apologize for the and I'm going to go through this.
Now, welcome to the Superior Court of the Fresno County Courtroom, where former leader of the Greater Life Christian Center in Toledo, Ohio, Anthony Haynes, was sentenced to life in prison. Haynes sexually assaulted a juvenile girl from 2014 to 2017. The victim was allegedly at the age of 14 when Haynes started the assaults.
Every day coming home, just expecting that I'm just gonna have to have sex with him and anybody else that he threw my way.
Some of the assaults allegedly took place at the Greater Life Christian Center in Toledo. Haynes also paid the girl money daily after the sex acts and warned her not to say anything about their activities as it would ruin his family and his church. Moreover, that's not all. Haynes made some astonishing allegations against the victim. He claimed that the victim became jealous and threatened to tell people that he molested her if she didn't get what she wanted. He denied having sex with her and went on to call Pastor Kenneth Butler, who testified against him. Lastly, Haynes also claimed that the victim planned to get money from another pastor, Cordell Jenkins, by getting close to his wife, Laura. After the trials in the court, justice was served and the court gave him punishment. Now, hold your breath and get ready for the next stop. Hearing about the culprit's crimes will give you immense pain because it's beyond the darkness. We are at the Etowah County courtroom, where Acton Bowen was guilty of sexually abusing a half-dozen teenagers.
Well, this afternoon, prosecutors say more child sex abuse charges are on the way against youth minister Acton Bowen.
He was sentenced to 1,008 years in prison, the maximum on all counts. Additionally, he was ordered to pay an $840,000 fine. Bowen was charged with 28 counts of sexual abuse, which involved 6 male victims between the ages of 13 and 16. Other charges including enticing a child for a sexual act, sodomy, traveling to meet a child for a sexual act, and sexual abuse. In April 2018, Hoover police initially arrested Bowen on charges related to one male teenager. Subsequently, Etowah County authorities arrested him in connection with the other 6 victims. Bowen dedicated 12 years of service to a community church, took charge of a citywide student Bible study in Gadsden, and hosted XL Roads TV. Millions of teenagers and adults watch this global broadcast weekly in cities across America and over 170 countries worldwide.
I believe that God brought me from Birmingham, Alabama to save me.
The young boys claimed that after they met Bowen through his ministry, they were abused in several ways, not only in Etowah County, but during trips to different states and abroad. The young male victims also claimed that the misconduct lasted months, sometimes years. One of the victims, a boy over the age of 12, claimed Bowen exposed him to sexual intercourse from 2006 through 2009. Another victim claimed that the abuse happened from 2014 through 2017. Authorities expressed that there may be additional victims who had not come forward. The case turned in a different direction when Bowen's lawyer, John Floyd, claimed something about him. He tried to demonstrate that Bowen experienced post-traumatic stress disorder due to being sexually molested as a juvenile. Deegan Mercer Malone, a clinical therapist who testified in support of the defense, acknowledged the horrific nature of Bowen's actions, but claimed that his behavior mirrored the abuse he had suffered himself. Yet another psychologist, Eric Alexander Seaman, testified that Bowen's history of abuse had left him emotionally stunted and immature, making it difficult for him to relate to his victims. We can see and evaluate that he replicates his traumatic abuse in the most horrific patterns. But the judge didn't consider these facts at all, and justice was served. Just before receiving his sentence, Bowen, standing in shackles, addressed a crowded courtroom. In a shaky voice, he apologized to his own family and the victims for the years of sexual abuse. Our last stop is at Glynn County Superior Court, where Judge Stephen Scarlett sentenced Kenneth Atkins to life in prison on 10 child molestation charges and a single charge of attempting to influence a witness. Before becoming a pastor in Brunswick, Atkins had a previous career in Jacksonville as a public relations and political consultant. This shift came after he reinvented himself following a period of imprisonment on drug charges. Yes, Atkins, who was also a former drug addict, had been arrested dozens of times in Florida. The last time was in the early 1990s. Moving on, Atkins drew widespread criticism when he labeled gays as sinners and used crude, anti-gay language and cartoons to attack his critics on social media. When confronted on his tweets, Atkins told Jacksonville's affiliate that as a pastor, he finds homosexuality vulgar and pornographic. That's why the news of his arrest on charges related to engaging in sexual relations with a young boy and girl surprised both communities. Atkins exploited children by acting as a father figure and giving them gifts when, in reality, he was grooming a teenage couple for sex. The age of consent in Georgia is 16, but the teens were 15 when Atkins was watching them have sex to make sure they were doing it correctly, and eventually joining them in the sexual acts. Moreover, Atkins' other accuser, a 22-year-old man now in the military, came forward a year ago and told investigators in Georgia that he offered up his girlfriend to Atkins as a gift for allowing the young couple to have sex. Atkins repeatedly denied having sexual relations with the teens. At the time of his arrest, the teenager had been living in Atkins' home for a few years. Female in court denied that sexual acts ever occurred with or in front of Adkins. What's shocking here is that Adkins' wife and 10 children did not attend any part of the trial, while a few of his adversaries were present. Also, Adkins' lawyer withdrew from the case, citing Adkins' financial inability to afford a private attorney. When Kenneth Adkins entered the courtroom, he looked pretty different. He wasn't wearing the fancy suits and ties he used to wear as a preacher. The confident and friendly smile was also missing. Instead, a handcuffed Adkins appeared in a green jumpsuit provided by the jail. He held a cup of coffee in his hands, and his face looked sad. And the worst part is, after all of his horrific and shameful acts, he denied all the allegations.
You look at George Zimmerman, difficult verdict, but the jury had enough courage to come back and say not guilty. Here it is me. A difficult case, a lot of sympathy, a lot of he say, she say, and the jury obviously didn't have enough courage to come back and say not guilty.
He expressed his innocence publicly just before his sentencing, but justice was served. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching the whole video. Press the bell icon and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates.